Spiritual Director of Holy Ghost Adoration Ministry, UK, Anambra State, Rev Fr Emmanuel Obimma, popularly known as Father Ebube Muonso, has said that security in Anambra has broken irretrievably. Obimma said this while presenting a priest simply identified as Rev Fr Nonso to his congregation after his release from kidnappers, a week after he was abducted and taken into the forest by gunmen. It was gathered that Nonso was kidnapped on December 17 in Anambra State, shortly after his return for the Christmas holiday from abroad where he was studying. For a week, Father Nonso was in the hands of kidnappers. Government could not do anything. It got to a point where I had to use my arsenal to rescue him, Father Ebube Muonso said. He continues to say, I called former Governor Chief Willie Obiano and asked him where the trackers he bought during his tenure were, and he said that they were all there. What it means is that we do not have security in this state. May God continue to protect us, he said. Father Ebube Muonso continues to say, I opted to lead the operation. I called the Chief Security of Adoration and told him to assemble his men. Let those who have cutlass bring their cutlass, and those who have guns bring it. I will lead the operation myself. When the police saw that I was serious, that was when the police told me that I should not worry that they could rescue him, but that they lack logistics. I had to send 1 million naira to them. This is a state where we have a governor who receives security votes, but it is individuals that are now funding security. Let me ask you, Obidema, in the southeastern states, the level of insecurity there, I mean, it's not even appropriately, carried by the press. Because if the way the press is paying attention to the northern states, if what is actually going on in southeastern states are being, put out there by the press, it will be alarming. It will be very, very alarming. And now this is a situation where this conversation is periscoping on the activities of Nigerian police now. A situation where a priest was abducted and the police is saying that they cannot, rescue him, even though they have full details of where he is, his location. They say they cannot move because they don't have logistics. Collecting 1 million naira for logistics to rescue an abducted priest. What do you make of that?
Subject to what the police reaction might be on this subject matter. But again, it brings to the fore some of the issues where people begin to talk about the irrelevance of the states. As an institution. Because a situation where, even for security, which is the primary purpose of government, and the welfare of the people, in this context now, very clearly, where a citizen is being held somewhere, and in fact, his constituency, let me put it that way, had actually approached the police in that state, and they couldn't do anything, but he was able to use his own network. These are priests, so they have a lot of network. He was able to use his own network to actually identify the location where this priest was being held. In fact, the story further had it that they did not put off his handsets.
Yes.
The handsets,
and that was how they were able to track the man.
Of the victim. They didn't put it off.
Because they were confident that police would not come for them.
That they would not come for them. So sometimes these are the issues that we keep asking. What is the role of the Nigerian states in terms of the welfare of its citizens? A situation where first citizens virtually have to provide for everything that they need. Water, electricity. People have to buy, what they call it now? People have to buy some of these electrical installations.
Solar.
Yeah, yes.
Inverters.
Not just inverters. The ones that are outside that government once in a while. Also transformers.
Okay, transformers.
Yes, people put, in fact, have to put in place transformers before they are connected. And even for water, for health, and so on. And now security, which is a big one. So it's a very big dent. But like I said, we have not heard what the police reaction is. And if he actually, for instance, if you are parting with 1 million naira, we don't know whether he parted with them, he parted with the 1 million naira in cash, or if it was transactional through maybe one of the, either through bank or through POS, the 1 million naira, how was it transferred? So that we can be able to get the name and details of the recipients. Then we are beginning to have facts and evidence to actually corroborate what he's saying, and let's know who took that amount. Because it's very sad that he had to plead, provided all the information like he alleged.
Yes.
All the information he had to give to them, and yet they said they cannot go.
They don't have
logistics.
logistics.
Only until when he had given them 1 million, then they jumped up. Let's believe that the story is not true. But if it is true, then,
okay, let's
it's an allegation, yes.
It's an allegation.
Yeah,
it's an allegation.
Let me say it's a claim.
It's an allegation more like, but one that cannot be swept under the carpet, because let's even look at the everyday, daily activities of police, using River State for example. Now, yesterday, my own experience, I was in AKK. You know, I was coming down to the office in the evening at Ozoba Road. The police, this is Ozoba Divisional Police. I'm calling them out actually. Ozoba Divisional Police. They were parked in a white Sienna. Ozoba Divisional Police was written. The Sienna looks new though. It was painted white. Ozoba Divisional Police was written on it. They were packed, and you know, these police officers, some of them were wearing this vigilante kind of black T-shirts with white logo on it, and then a black trouser. Some others were wearing their uniform. No identity, because I was hoping to, you know, get the name tag of one. Then I will use our sister radio station. As I'm coming down to the office, I'll just go straight to the radio station, and you know, start hitting on the police immediately, and even call their CRU unit, and while on air, because it's time the police people start calling them out. If they need to be embarrassed to do the right thing, then they will have to deal with it. So at some point, what was going on was the police officer, you know, would wait, collect. If the KK man does not give them the money, they will pack them. So these KK people apparently didn't even want the stress, because I mean, it's the season. So they would just stop. They were collecting 100 naira.
And even giving change.
No, they didn't even give change.
They have not added that one.
They do pack. If you give a higher denomination, they will not tell you to pack and come and collect your change. But for the KK guy that was carrying me, you know, he just gave them that 100 naira. They collected it and told him 30.
That's the number.
Yes, code. He mentioned number 30. It's a code. So when he drove off, I now asked him, what is this 30 about? He said it's his number. So if he's returning, he will now tell them 30, which means that is his number. And you know, I was really shocked. I was taken aback. I was like, is this actually what is going on? Because usually I drive myself to the office, but I had that experience of being in a KK, and I'm like, oh really? And the level of traffic that was building up, because no single KK could drive past. You know, and sometimes they even use bigger vehicles to, you know, hold them until the level of traffic that was building on. It is the audaciousness, the brevity, you know, with which these people do these things. So when a situation like this comes up, if they could siphon KK people that are struggling of 100 naira, probably per trip, or I don't know, but as it stands, what makes you think that more is not going on?
Well, I you know, narrating your story, it even brings me to terms with the fact that
you've had your own experience as well.
Obviously, you'll be out of touch with
with what is going on.
With what is going on with the ordinary citizen. Otherwise, these are things that regularly, in fact, Nigerian citizens are even tired, you know, raising some of these issues. And, you know, for, like we keep saying, if our security agencies could be so compromised then how do you expect foreign direct investors? Anybody could come from anywhere. And, you know, what people are looking at is the rule of law and how these things are applied. So if you come into a country and you saw a law enforcement agent, you know, collecting money, the first impression that you have is that this is a lawless country. So I would like to come and put my money down. So the same way, you don't have to doubt when people say they can't come and invest in spite of our...
Have you had that experience where the police says they cannot come because they don't have... One would say what Father Ebube Muonso narrated is nearly the experience of anybody who have had crisis and needed the police to intervene. The story usually is, we don't... One, they will tell you if they have vehicle. Police will say they don't have fuel to move, that they don't have any budget for fuel. Now, if there is, even if they have vehicle, they will not tell you, oh, the vehicle has issues, it cannot move, or they've taken the vehicle to another operation. So now, what it means is that we have to, you know, charter vehicle, and God help you, you have a good car.
There's no time that there's
they will not tell you to use your car, and yet, you know, they put on AC, you know, things like that. And even if you bring the vehicle, you will still mobilize them.
Yes.
To move, and they will not tell you that they are going to bring this IPO, they are going to bring this officer, they are going to call the officer to come from home, this, that they will have to be happy to do the job and all of that. Now, at this point, one would say the everyday Nigerian, let me use the parlance, the Nigerian parlance, the common Nigerians who are struggling right now, who are living below poverty level, how can they access help? How can they access security when they don't even, I mean, you've not eaten 3 square meals? Is it to pay money for mobilization? For police to do that, which by constitution is their primary responsibility?
Let me also, in answering this question, let me also say that in some cases they have actually tried.
Okay.
Yes, we can't throw the baby and the
bathwater away.
In some cases, the police have actually tried. Even this case that Father Muonso has even raised, I'm very sure that since it's trending in the social media, like I mentioned earlier, with additional evidence, I want to believe that the first PPRO will definitely come into the matter. The police, they will investigate and get to... It's a big institution, it's an institution. Definitely, you also have some of the bad eggs in that institution. When you say the police have actually tried, can you like mention some of the incidences where police did outstandingly well? You can't box us into situations where they have done exceedingly well. But you also know that within their own standards of operation. Now, when people sometimes berate the police, I say, can we also take the police away for 24 hours and say how chaotic the situation
now,
will be?
What I am looking at is where police is being applauded. Is it for cases that have received media coverage?
Yes.
One, for cases of highly placed persons in the society.
Yes.
You know, for cases that it's out there, probably the person involved, the victims are common Nigerians, but the interest of the public interest is on that matter. I am talking of an issue where there is no public interest. The victims involved do not have resources, as it were, you know, and to a large extent, the only help they will get, you know, is the police, and they don't even have access to make that matter public.
Yes.
That is where I can now begin to judge the performance index of the performance of Nigerian police when they are not going to receive applause from the public.
Yes. You know, like where I was actually driving at is also the fact that the police have an internal mechanism for making sure that they also discipline erring officers, and we have seen so many times we have seen so much of it.
How effective has that been? No,
it has been quite effective.
Okay, let me give you an instance.
Sorry, we have seen situations where even some of the policemen had misbehaved, and the IG had ordered an investigation, and we have seen some of them, you know, dismissed. Some of them, in fact, disciplinary measures have been taken. Some at very, for instance, when you dismiss somebody, you know that, in fact, virtually had no career with the police. And in some cases, after the dismissal, they also prosecute them. They are also prosecuted. So let me give you some examples.
Right.
We used to have the Duke 4. You remember?
Yes.
The Duke 4. We also had a situation where there was this guy who was a surveillance contractor that was going to pay, was alleged to be traveling to pay some of his workers. And then the police saw him and along the line arrested him. And the quantum of money that was with him, you know, some of it was actually alleged to have been stolen. And police went into the investigation and brought this. So even in our state here, and for this region, we have had so many of such cases. Not to talk of the ones that we see every now and then. Sometimes it's even travelers. People are traveling and police are harassing drivers to do one thing or the other. And then there's altercation sometimes between passengers and police. Passengers who are lending their voice, you know, saying that things should be done right. We have seen such cases. So there's an internal mechanism to make sure that...
Let's look at the internal mechanism and the police flagrant disobedience to even the orders of the IGP. Let's use South and Southeast, for example.
No, let's...
People, because you talked about people who travel and having altercations with police. They, not this current IGP, by the way, the past IGP, I think even on two different occasions, have called on the Nigerian police to remove the barricades on the road. I've called on them several because at some point the outcry became too much. 100 poles, if you're moving from River State to Aba alone, not even Umuahia, River State to Abia State, you will drive, that trip is more than 2 hours. Yeah. Now, apart from the road itself, you know, you also consider the fact that every 100 meters, sometimes every 50 meters, you see a police checkpoint. And most of these police checkpoints, drivers give them money at each juncture. I have experienced it myself. Now, the IGP severally have said, remove all barricades, remove all these checkpoints. And yet, nothing happens. DPOs flaunt these orders because these police officers that are on these checkpoints come from a station, and there is a DPO manning that station. And up until now, nothing has been done. And when you say police punishes these people, you know, most times there are crimes, like I have said earlier, crimes that have entered the social media, some crimes that have been publicized, and Nigerians are crying out seriously, and then the police is under pressure to save his face. But in this instance, I have just given you an example where an IG of police came out to give an order and is being flaunted by DPOs in Southeast and South, and nothing has happened to date. Young, make it make sense to me.
Well, like you mentioned, we can't, and I said it earlier, you can't run away from the fact that you have some bad eggs. And as Nigerians, we also know that corruption is endemic. And the man that you are seeing there on the road, that is the one that you are seeing there. Like you have contextually put it, the DPUs of some given stations still flout these rules or these policy direction by the IG. Every IG, virtually every IG in the last 20 years or 24 years of our democracy comes out to say that please remove all roadblocks so that there will be free traffic. But then police, even if those roadblocks are removed, an itinerary, a moving police, an itinerant police will still stop anybody to conduct any search and tell you that it is within their rules of engagement to stop anybody, because you don't know what information they have.
Of course.
Yes, so they could...
That can be understood.
Yes, so
that can be understood. But for police checkpoints every 50 meters.
Yes.
100 meters, just a pole. Ayo,
No.
Have you traveled in recent times? Have you not experienced this thing, or am I living, in isolation?
No, you're not living.
Have you experienced this?
You're not living in isolation. Thank God that you're in the reality of the situation. This one did not elude you.
It did not, and it's frustrating.
This one did not elude you because.
And do you know that it's affecting the price of transportation?
That's
because the drivers will factor in how many thousands they have to spend.
That's the main reason. Apart from cost of fuel, for the high cost of transportation. That is the main...
In South and Southeast, please.
Not only, I don't know, maybe also because the legislator was counting what it takes, how many checkpoints from Lagos to Abuja. And I ended up saying that from Abuja to Kaduna, I didn't see one checkpoint. So... How do we add up to that? So it's almost like criminalizing a set of persons in a geopolitical zone, while the other areas are left open.
Now the question is, in the north,
and
go ahead.
That also brings to fore the fact that, when things are like that, when that becomes the attitude, when that becomes the trend, in the force, there's a clamor to be posted here. Because the thinking is that, once you are here, you will make it. Ayo,
that's interesting. Can you say that again, please?
Can
you rephrase that?
No, because definitely...
In a manner I can understand better. That the clamoring to be posted to a certain region.
Clamor, because when you have so much free money from bribe, in fact,
extortion,
the picture that is automatically painted when you have such extortion is that you have daily income at your disposal, and even more than what you need for your sustenance for the day. While your salary is there, your legitimate earning ordinarily is there. So there's a clamor for people to be posted here.
Interesting. And probably to a large extent, I think this is a wake-up call for the Nigerian police and EFCC, by the way. I don't want to look into, some of the Nigerian police officers and the level of exorbitant lifestyle.
But
I don't want to look into that.
But
have you seen the DPOs and the kind of exotic cars they drive?
Well, I wouldn't interrogate
that.
Well,
I have
seen maybe they got it legitimately.
Gifts.
Through their earning. It could be also be
through their earning.
But you also know that there's a DPO that was allegedly found, not DPO, in fact, a very high-placed security official, a Kiaritu that was found complicit,
Yes,
over the hush puppy and all those.
The hush puppy thing.
So that's why I said the police, within their own internal system, also makes effort to discipline members of the force. They don't just let them go. The IGP that is giving the order cannot be everywhere. That's why he has also put in place an IGP monitoring unit to check the excesses of...
Where the IGP monitoring unit?
Yes, to check.
I do see some of them at checkpoints as well.
To check.
Yes, I do see some of them at and they will even announce this is the IGP monitoring unit. Kindly slow down. They are also part of the persons flaunting the orders of the IG because they have their own checkpoints on highways as well. So and few poles, few meters, from one checkpoint you're seeing the other barricade. And guess what? What is even most astonishing is that while we are at this checkpoint, you could see crime, you could see robbery happening in the other one. And these ones will be acting like nothing has happened. These are real-time experiences that I have had, plying the roads, particularly when the kidnapping was really high along this East-West Road, Bayelsa, Kayama, Patani, that area, as if you're going towards...
Are we also sure that those persons who are on that checkpoints, while robbery is going on at the other points, and who cannot make any intervention, are we even sure that they are really policemen or people that are wearing police uniform?
Well,
there are a lot of angles to it. But what we are saying is that for sure that when citizens say something, they have to when they see something, they have to say something. We should encourage our citizens to exercise their freedom, you know, to use every available organ, especially now that we have both the conventional and the social media. Most of these issues can come up, and I believe that they will be corrected.
Yeah, we'll also look at the safety of whistleblowers.
That is always there, but there's also
safety of whistleblowers.
There's also protection for whistleblowers. Yes.
How effective has it been?
It has been.